Well, thank you for this. Our purpose is to talk about how to look at aspects of nonverbal communication we can offer to teachers and to some extent parents who work with autistic children.
A little bit of background?
Yes, please.
Okay. There's a wide spectrum of students with autism, and it's commonly referred to in the profession and the parents as children under the autism spectrum. And when people say autistic students, it makes one think of lower functioning classic autism accompanied by mental retardation. And when you refer to it as students under the autism spectrum, or students with autism even, it encompasses those with Asperger's, which is high functioning, above average IQ, but with some specific autism traits.
Right.
And then also those with what's called pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, which is meaning that you have some characteristics of autism, but it is not accompanied by any mental retardation. They're of low average to average, and in some cases, high average in intelligence.
Kathy, if you had a magic wand, what would you want two understandings of the listeners to walk away with?
I would say that a lot of the components in Envoy and the nonverbal communication could be used to meet the needs of these students and also have the secondary benefit of enhancing the education of all the other students that are in that class.
Mm-hmm.
We use visual strategies fairly consistently for lower functioning students with autism.
Right.
A lot of visual schedules, visual charts. We use pictures to give them the words that they can't express.
So nonverbals and signage is some of the things we're talking about in terms of how a lay non-specialist mainstream teacher could profit when they're interacting with students that are part of the autism spectrum.
Definitely, those are the two most. However, some other aspects, we tend to use way too many words in communicating with these children. If I was able to show them a visual, speak in a short sentence with no emotion, the communication would be so much better.
Teachers that are working with special needs students, and then they realize, oh wait, this works for everyone. We claim without having the pure research that when people use the Envoy techniques, they have an extra hour per week.
I would not be surprised if you were to say it was an hour a day. The special needs population, particularly those under autism, have trouble with transitions. It startles them when you go verbal sometimes with stop, put down your pencil, do something else. It is softer and easier for them to process when it's a visual and there's less words and it's symbolic and nonverbal. Well, they're in the middle of doing something and they're very absorbed with what it is that they're doing, and it triggers behavioral problems at times.
If we go visual, there's less emotion attached to the message we're sending.
I 100% agree with that. The children on the special needs population, specifically on the autism spectrum, react even more than regular students to the emotion of the message. And if you're irritated with them, which is easy to do when it's and it gets worse, it compounds because failure to adequately use a nonverbal and few words to start with, when the teacher's using 10 times more words than she should, and the student is tuning her out and ignoring her, then she uses more words And now she adds some emotion, and then he still doesn't comply. And she adds more words and more emotion.
Yeah.
It's fueling the fire.
Yeah.
And it just gets worse.
Yeah.
It all could have been avoided if she had better training to deal with the issue in the first place. The sensory needs of this population, of what triggers their stress level. Going and eating in the cafeteria is torturous to their auditory sense. And, going to an art class where you smell the clay, or, some remnant of markers left open or something, it triggers extreme sensitivity that, unfortunately, in a teacher who doesn't understand, they think it's just behavioral. And it's not. It's fight versus flight, triggered by their sensory system being overwhelmed. The adrenaline rush you get when you're in a hotel at 1 in the morning and you hear the fire alarm go off.
Yeah.
That's probably more similar than you would think to a child in a public school system when they're not in an environment that meets their needs. They are stressed beyond comprehension from the minute they set foot in that classroom. The ones that get it are those that have somebody in their family that has some form of disability, that have the comprehension and understanding in their heart. They purely understand the difficulties that this child faces due to the constant stress that they have.
Right. I think that's really an excellent closing remark, because it's from that basis that the teacher is motivated to say, I know I have a good heart, but I've got to learn these skills. It's not enough just to feel for and have empathy. I have to understand what makes sense from the student side. Kathy, you've been extremely articulate, and you come from a position of not just being a mom, but caring about the teacher and the other students, not just your own son and daughter. And I think that's very magnanimous of you.
Thank you.